because you have finally gained complete control over your grow room and you've gotten rid of all the inconsistencies, I mean, the bad employees and stuff, you've done two things, right? You've gotten rid of some staff members that are creating situations that you're getting inconsistent yields, and that's hurting the pocketbook. So good on you for doing that. The next situation, though, is by doing that, you've also put more to your shoulders by having to get certain things done in your grow room to bring in the harvest. So because you're shifting into more of a skeleton operation, you have to decide what things are worth your time to do. And you have to measure that based upon your pocketbook, right? So defoliating, that's a very time-consuming thing. And my question to you is, have you ever done an experiment where maybe 20% of your grow room you did not defoliate versus a section of your room where you have defoliated, and then actually measured the yield difference between going after those tops on the defoliating your plants methodology versus going into a multi-harvest experience? And obviously, if you go through a multi-harvest experience, well, first, I don't want to tell you you're not going to get the big buds, because if you watch the video I just sent you, I mean, you can see the size of those. Some of those flowers are still massive. So when you do it right, you can still get the big buds on the top. And the defoliating experience, because it's so time consuming, you might want to, and we have talked about the height of the plants too, you might want to take into consideration doing a small experiment on just 10% of your grow room, just keeping it simple, where you don't defoliate at all. And while the rest of your room, you stick to your standard procedure. And then with that 10%, what you're going to do is you're not going to defoliate all. And the reason why you're not going to defoliate that is because you're going to run an experiment where you're going to measure the yield difference between that 10% and another somewhat apples to apples section. So that 10%, maybe there's 20 plants, because you're a size operation, maybe there's 20 plants in that 10% section. So then you're going to go and you're going to measure it on a yield difference on another 20 plants in your room that has been defoliated. And what you're going to do is you would, and this is only if you do the experiment, you're going to harvest your tops and then the bottom 2/3 of the plant, because if I believe what you do, tell me if I'm correct, you end up harvesting your entire plant all at once. So in this situation, what you would end up doing is you would harvest out your tops and then leave behind the bottom 2/3 to keep growing for another 10 days. And then after those flowers dense up, measure your yield difference between the multi-harvest crop that you did not defoliate at all and the other 20 plants where you did put the time into defoliating. So and then measure the quality difference and see what's the value of the product when it goes out to the market. Because if you are able to get a larger biomass out of that, even if maybe it's not as big of buds, let's say, but you are able to get, let's say, another 20% more yield, you're not just picking up on more biomass, but you're also picking up on the time of not having to defoliate anymore. And this would also work exceptionally well, especially if your plants are healthy growing into flowering. If you don't have mold issues already starting and spider mite issues or any of those other things, then the excess biomass shouldn't affect you too heavily. The reason why, again, I'm saying this is because you're on a skeleton crew operation. Anywhere that you could get back your time and not invest it into your grow room and still get the same yield, same quality, or better, it's going to be a big deal. Want to learn about multi-harvesting in detail? Then this video is for you.